right, let's continue reading book 3. Professor Shark the Science Shark just couldn't seem to relax since returning to his familiar reef off the Jupiter, Florida coastline. Night after night, Clark swam back and forth from one reef to another. I can't relax. There's Ray the Remora. He just can't relax. You're making me very dizzy, his friend Ray the Remora grumbled as he tried to get comfortable on Clark's broad tiger shark back. That looks better, Ray the Remora. Clark knew why he couldn't relax. The coral reef locally and possibly worldwide were in trouble, and the young science shark needed to discover solutions to fix them before it was too late. As Clark looked around his aquatic playground, he wondered, what could be responsible for the ocean's problems? Could it be the humans are involved with all of the reef pollution and neglect? To understand the humans' actions and motives, Professor Clark knew he would need to study humans much closer than ever before. Professor Clark lived on a reef close to the Florida East Coast next to the Gulf Stream's water. The ideal location gave him some amazing opportunities to observe the humans while he remained quiet and unseen. Uh-oh, I see humans. I wonder what's going to happen. Early the next morning, Professor Clark and Ray set off on another seafaring adventure to study man more closely. The two friends didn't have to swim very far before they felt certain vibrations in the water. This could only mean one thing. Humans! There are those silly humans that the Professor Clark the Science Shark sees in the ocean. He's not looking very happy. And there's more than there were at the first page. As the two friends looked from afar, Clark felt both awe and amusement as he studied the clumsy humans and their funny-looking skin. What odd-looking creatures, he said. Out loud, he slowly turned and swam away. They are called scuba divers, Ray explained, trying to catch up to Clark. In the coming days, many divers spotted the tiger shark and the remora. Their interaction didn't always turn out the way Clark had hoped. Many divers were terrified and swam away. Thankfully, many were also fascinated and marveled at Professor Clark's beauty with respect and awe. Clark and Ray could not understand how anybody could be so frightened by animals they knew so little about. Although he could never be sure which reactions to expect, these encounters helped Professor Clark become more comfortable studying the humans in their marine environment. But he wanted more. In his heart, he longed to bond with a human. The shark? Professor Clark wants to bond with a human? I wonder what will happen when that occurs. Ray's Professor Clark said to his friends, for some strange reason, I want to get to know these humans and form a friendship with them. It just might solve the ocean's problems. Ray didn't know what to say, and it took a few moments before he blurted out, Are you crazy, Clark? This is a bad idea, a really bad idea, Ray shouted as he shook his head. Ray doesn't look very happy. Look at that beautiful wreath. As fate would have it, a young man named Andrew was scuba diving with a couple of friends. one morning on Clark and Ray's favorite reef. This was the same human Clark met all those years ago, when he was just a little shark pup and Andrew was just a little boy. Boy, Andrew has changed a lot. But so has Ray. Andrew had visited the reef on a regular basis, hoping to find his cherished lure. He also had a secret dream of meeting up with the shark pups one day. I hope they meet up. Let's see what happens. Professor Clark was also hanging around the reef that morning. He knew that there were divers ahead by the electric pulses in the water. Slow and cautiously, he made his way towards the dark floating objects, only to discover that Andrew was one of those divers. They do meet up. Yay! Look, there's Andrew and the Ray the Remora and Professor Clark the science shark. Clark stopped in his Finn's tracks, but did not know why. His mind was racing wildly. Can it be, he asked himself as he swam slowly towards the oncoming diver. Professor Clark looked so excited to see Andrew. Clark could not deny the familiar face. He noticed the boy's eyes and then his lips, and they formed a smile that mouthed, "Hi, Professor Clark, knew it!" It was Andrew. Clark swam very close to the diver just to make sure when all of a sudden Clark had a brilliant idea. After one last long look at Andrew, Clark took off swimming with poor Ray hanging on, yelling and screaming, "What is going on?" There's Ray the Remora holding on to Professor Clark. "I have to find this special lure," Clark explained to Ray as they swam quickly to the exact spot where he first met the boy. "There it is," shouted Ray, "hidden in the coral, covered in brown algae and barnacles." Ray the Remora is down there in the right corner, pointing to the algae in the coral. So with a gentle pull of Clark's teeth, the cherished lure was freed. Clark placed it softly in his big shark mouth, taking care not to get poked. Clark swam as fast as he could back to the diver. There he is, swimming back to Andrew. Clark couldn't wait to show Andrew that he had found his cherished lure. Professor Clark swam right up to Andrew, displaying the special lure secured in his massive shark jaws. Without hesitation, Clark gently dropped the lure into Andrew's stretched hands. Andrew couldn't believe it. There it was, his long-lost treasure lure, the sentimental gift from his family. He wanted to give the big gentle shark a huge hug, but his human instincts reminded him that it probably wasn't a good idea to hug Professor Clark. Instead, Andrew and his friends had the afternoon of a lifetime as they spent the next few hours on the reef in an unforgettable encounter with an extraordinary tiger shark. Clark swam around joyfully as he was beginning to see this was the human bond he was searching for. This encounter would change Professor Clark's life forever. But how? Only time would tell. That's the end of Book 3. I hope you enjoyed it.